Hello, and welcome to Just Stories. I'm Montgomery Sterling McGale, your narrator and author. Today, we'll be delving into Chapter 3 of Tuppy Diggers, entitled Pot. Trevor and I explored our new neighborhood. Kids were found up and down our street, practically crawled with them. Born in the late 1950s, we were part of the baby boom that populated Western Canada. Towns like Lloydminster built houses to contain the horde of rugrats. If you saw a kid, you just walked up to him or her to see what they were doing. Chances were good you'd be playing along and finding out what was going on in their little world. Rarely were adults seen. A group of 50 kids might be in the little park of all ages, goofing off, just being kids. Inside a family's garage, a few doors from us, found Trevor and I with two of our new friends, exploring every corner. Space was a wealth of boxes and household artifacts, furniture to artwork, play area worthy of our attention. Bouncing on an old couch, making teepees of cushions, kicking them over, running roughshod on their possessions. Amongst the flailing and laughter, it was noted that a 25% reduction in general hubbub had recently occurred. I looked around and felt a distinct lack of Trevor. While the other two were still occupied, I scrambled over piles of stuff in a bid for the missing kid. There he was, crouched in a corner. Trevor found a box of pots and pans, decided it wouldn't violate any dictates of protocol if he were to relieve himself of excess foodstuffs that prevented him from a full expression of his playtime capabilities. Judging from his posture and facial expression, he was halfway through number two. As I espied him from 3 feet above, Trevor quickly transitioned to post poo, turned, looked at his most recent creation, and there, in a golden swisher of pea soup, was a modest contribution that emanated a certain pungency which is amplified by its shiny metal container. Trevor plunked the proper lid on the pot in an attempt to contain its essence. Too late. Fellow revelers joined me as Trevor yarded up his drawers over his non wiped butt. Didn't take a genius to decipher what just went down. Triple chorus of pews greeted Trevor's 4-year-old beaming face. Play continued outside. As a 5-year-old, certain aspects of my world were a constant source of mystery. One in particular was the rapid transference of information. Case in point. As we entered the secure confines of home that afternoon, Mum was at the back door, immediately seized Trevor by his upper arm and marched him to the bedroom. Speech was delivered as his little legs earnestly tried to keep up with Ogie's determined pace. Subject matter centered on the proper deposition of one's personal droppings. Her tone was of the usual, a robust and decibel-rich variety. Accustomed as we were, even at our tender ages, to these lessons in decorum, the combination of losing face in an up-and-coming neighborhood meant the bare-handed smacks to an equally bare butt were of a crisper variety than bottom warmers of previous learning opportunities. Hearing the whacks and wailing filled me with a sense of foreboding, as the guilt through association clause sprang to mind. Especially culpable is an older sibling that ought to know better and ensure situations of this dynamic don't unfold in the first place. Held my breath as Mum hustled by. She had been whacked out. Relief followed my exhale. We were banned from leaving the house for the next day, or until Mum couldn't stand us being indoors. Our basement was like most new houses, an unfinished chasm of storage. Material destined to be organized into order as time and circumstance permitted had amassed in piles. A fertile, inclement weather refuge of fort making. Pieces of lumber of every length, panels of chipboard that smelled of pine, and industrial glues drew us like magnets to their infinite abilities to balance on one another in temporary sheltering configurations. Forts evolved and collapsed, being rebuilt and modified, endless sources of fun. These building pastimes were transferred to the backyard, where additional bits of sturdy construction could be found. Lawn chairs and blankets, sheets and towels, all were plied into service to make multi-roomed, ultra-low ceilinged forts of pleasure that we spent hours in. Great for nap time or snack time. These ever-evolving pleasure domes were excellent baby-sitters. When in the street, a great source of pride was the announcement that a fort of wondrous dimensions and character was mere steps away. Want to see my fort? Grand opening volley. This 5-year-old walked back to a mighty edifice with a certain swagger, accompanied by another curious kid from the neighborhood. There were numerous preschool-aged girls in the vicinity that visited my little encampment and enjoyed innocent fun. Under the hot summer sun, temperatures inside the covered enclave could be pleasantly toasty. An invitation to leave one's clothes at the entrance was always met with a positive response. Numerous girls had visited the fort, and each delighted in the unfettered pleasure of playing naked. All manner of activities were engaged in, but the one all the girls kept wanting to play was doctor. In my possession was a yellow plastic doctor's bag that contained the tools of a 5-year-old's trade: stethoscope, gauze, headband with a shiny disc on it, band-aids, and popsicle sticks. A complete kit. All that was necessary to diagnose and treat anything that might be afflicting a 5-year-old girl. Doctor and patient, buck naked, stethoscope in ears, other ends slid all over my consort. Listening for what, I had no idea. I knew how to take temperature. That was easy. Lay patient on back and slowly insert a popsicle stick in front bum.
Oh! Oh my
God! After a certain time, remove it and read the result. Results never seemed legible. Popsicle stick would be slid back in while I continued as doctor.
Oh my gosh.
Naturally, differences between us were noted and pointed out. After scrutinizing my wignor and giving it a poke with her finger, one girl wanted to know why she didn't have one. I couldn't come up with a satisfactory response, just the fact that she was a girl, and that's the way it is. Not totally happy with this state, after a thorough examination of her front bum, it was decided that the best course of action would be to place a band-aid on it. That's what we did. Another contented playmate.
I never did that.
Let us continue. Tuppy Diggers, Chapter 4, entitled Cracker. Romping from yard to yard and back again had us continually burning calories. Kind mothers in the vicinity regularly handed out their favorite, low-cost, calorie-rich, processed snack: graham crackers.
Oh, yeah.
Not many kids were overly fond of graham crackers, as they had a mysterious way of not blending with any other food or topping. Slather one with butter, and you still taste nothing but the underlying graham cracker. Layer on peanut butter, jam, and butter, you'd shake your head in disbelief. How can this be? All that came through was a terrible cracker that had the uncanny ability to sap your mouth of moisture and prevent you from whistling for hours. Maybe that's why mothers handed them out. We accepted them with the same level of enthusiasm as most adults display in the presence of fruitcake. Only the oddest were fans. Serendipity comes in many forms. It was discovered that a mouthful of cracker crumbs could be spat in a brother's face with obvious hilarious results.
Oh my God.
An explosion of debris rained onto your intended victim from distances as great as 3 feet. Lungs were put to the test as a mouthful of crumbs were propelled with ever greater volume and pressure. Soon more mouths joined in the mayhem. They spat in 2 faces. They spat in 2 faces. Social phenomenon swept the hood. Born again crackers. Graham crackers became the go-to snack. Mystified mothers didn't know what to think of this newfound amorous attitude towards the previously barely tolerated treat. We enjoyed at least 1 week of glorious, unfettered, graham cracker fueled food fights before the inevitable clapdown. Are you going to eat these or just spit them at each other? Sheepishly, you looked at the suspicious mother and tried to respond to the trick question with an inflected yes, no. Off you run, knowing that you had to actually eat about 90%, fine 70%. Choose your victim and moment wisely, as ammo was not to be wasted in this war of wills. If only adults could take a page out of the innocent child's book and treat fruitcake with the same passion. Cracker antics often happened half a block from home at the park, more of a clearing than an official play area, a meeting place for kids to gather and exchange the latest gossip. Sloping slightly to one end, the area's large, flat expanse ended in a little ravine that may have been a creek bed before the arrival of houses. Lower part of the empty lot was lush with tall grass and a bulrush or two. Fortunately, someone had deposited a large tractor tire on the land. We figure it needed to be utilized. 4 or 5 smaller kids could fit inside the tire while it lay on the ground. With the help of older boys, tire was uprighted and rolled down the slight slope to the boggy ground below.
Oh my God.
Dizzy kids scrambled out at the end of the roller coaster ride and struggled to heave the tire upright and roll it back uphill. Top off the thrill with a cracker come blast to your buddy's face from that broken bit of ammo in your pocket. Perfect. Weapons were a lusted commodity. We felt loving parents would allow youngsters of any age full access to such delights as the BB gun, pellet gun, slingshot, jackknife, and the bow and arrow. Any parent that would forbid the use or even the craving or mere mention of such idolized artifacts was obviously evil and hell-bent on destroying a child's natural growth and development. Such was the case in our household. Our parents hated us. We were denied access to weapons of minimum destruction. With great exuberance, we saw that one of the older boys arrived in our little park with a bow and a few arrows. He was 12, practically a man. Brand new fiberglass bow and cardboard quiver of half a dozen arrows was most impressive. Crowd of kids gathered around and pestered him with all manner of query till the proper question was posed. What you gonna shoot? He plucked the first arrow from its cardboard holder, placed its plastic notch on the bowstring, and drew it back. Moved around and searched for a suitable target in the vicinity. Other than kids, there was scant to pierce with any suitable amount of drama. I'll fire it straight up and see how high it goes, he proclaimed, pointed his bow skywards. Released, stick of wood shot straight up. Tiny speck of color from its plastic tail feather quickly became faint as it reached its zenith. Bow in hand rested at his side. Shooter looked toward heaven and his first emanation. Shot up 60 or 70 feet above our heads, made an about face, and took up a new trajectory back to starting point. Most of us backed up a couple of paces as the dart accelerated earthward. Still looking straight up, with his head fully tilted back, Shooter didn't even blink as the arrow struck him in the forehead.
Oh my god.
Pink! Sound was unique. Arrow's metal cap wasn't the sharpest implement of destruction, but it managed to deposit a beautiful dent in the center of his forehead.
Oh, Mom.
Dropped his bow, grabbed a forehead before bounced arrow even hit the ground and ran for home. Emitted a most gracious banshee offering as his friends picked up his weaponry and gave chase. Peals of rapturous delight filled the park as we took turns pretending we were great white hunters taking our own arrow to the head. Look at me, I'm just standing here like a dunce. Where's my arrow? Pink! Oh, there it is. More laughter. 2 days later, Shooter was seen, big bruise and bump where you would imagine a unicorn's horn had been removed. Wondrous fuel for a young boy's laugh tank. Obviously, his parents loved him. It was always about the eye. No pellet gun, you'll take someone's eye out. No bow and arrow, you'll take someone's eye out. No slingshot, you'll take someone's eye out. No jackknife, no sharp stick, no. Wouldn't you know it? First bow and arrow in our neighborhood, and a hapless 12-year-old almost took out his own eye. Dumb dolt. Almost ruined it for the rest of us. Could only imagine the eternal argument parents would have if our neighborhood dunce lay on the park's grass with an arrow through an eye, brain dead.